Welcome to Hello Port Hueneme. My name is Tom Dunn and I'm with Laura Hernandez today. We're doing another episode of the City Council Review. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tom. Good to be here.
This is the April 17th edition of the City Hall meeting. And the first thing on the agenda is the new police chief, Andrew Salinas, made a presentation honoring a few of the officers there, and I wanted to read those off, and then you have some observations about
Right.
other things that he said.
Right. So
The first one was Jerry Harbin, and she was Dispatcher of the Year, and then Sergeant Frank Torpy was Supervisor of the Year, and Officer Matt Harbin was Officer of the Year.
and he's actually son of Jerry Harbin, so
Right.
it's in the family.
And he won the
He
Chamber
is
of
in the family.
Commerce Officer of the Year award also. And then the Senior Explorer went to Andrew Higashi, and he was the Explorer of the Year. So those people were honored and by Chief Salinas, and he made some other comments. Would you tell us what he discussed?
Well, from what I observed, I think this was the first time for Chief Salinas to present before City Council, and I think it was an excellent way for him to start his tenure with the City of Port Hueneme. You know, he took over the floor. He had a real command presence. I think it was a real morale booster for his department to start off his career with the city by acknowledging members of his department and having an opportunity to show off some of the great things that they've done in the 30 days that he's been with the city. He showed the City Council some of the events that he's participated in. He talked about the Explorer program and just did a really good job of explaining to the City Council his accomplishments in a short 30-day period.
I think he showed his familiarity with the Port Hueneme Police Department, which is very good to know about, and he is a communicator.
Yes, he is.
And I think that the people will really enjoy how he runs this, and we look forward to having maybe a couple presentations with him to familiarize the people of Port Hueneme a little bit more about the changes and the things he wants to do.
I think he's going to set a new standard, and it's going to be a higher standard than we've seen here before. So we're really I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do for our city.
How about the crime report?
The crime report was also a very positive discussion. He showed that crime is actually down. It was a quarterly report, I believe. It was the first quarter of 2017, and crime was down. So that was a real positive message that he shared.
Yeah, the crime rate dropped 45%.
That's huge.
Versus last year, and so hopefully he did mention, and a little detail to go into about various things they're working on, and a lot of it was community relations and the police more involved in community going on, and so that people hopefully, he mentioned this happens too, that the people are responding to the police department with what they see, what they hear, and that helps, you know, keep the crime down. Maybe they can stop it, you know, before it starts. And
Right.
he did mention that maybe it drives away the criminals.
Right.
You know, they know that the police are out there involved with the community. So
Right.
hopefully every quarter we'll get a report like that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens this summer. Public Works Director report on the landscape maintenance bid.
And that
And-
was the outsourcing possibilities.
Right, and that's a continued discussion. I believe this has been going on for some time.
Year and a half.
The option has been to decide whether or not we're going to go out to bid and hire somebody to do our city's landscaping, or keep it in-house and use our force account labor.
The key in it is how much money would the city save by outsourcing it to a private
Right.
company versus what they're paying now. And there are a lot of intangible things involved in this, and whether or not a certain company can do it or not, that depends on the staff finding out what they can and bringing it to the city council.
And what was also interesting is that we had a vendor come up to the podium and explain the problems he had with the pre-conference bid, the pre-bid conference, I should say. And so that is a little concerning. If there were some things that can be improved there, hopefully staff will take a look at that and get that corrected. But that can jeopardize the entire bidding process if those pre-bid conference procedures are not handled carefully. So hopefully that'll get worked out.
It needs a lot of intelligent people to make it work effectively.
Well, experience, I think, people who are experienced in handling the bid process and understanding what landscaping needs are for the city, I think are important.
Okay, next we had the
fence permit application.
that's been going on a while
A
also.
year?
And how did you,
Well,
it was a, Carmen Nichols, the deputy city manager, made a
it's been
presentation.
a discussion that's been going on for a while, and it seemed to be an issue that was very complicated to understand, but thank you to Mayor Figg. He came up with a very simple solution, and that was to, rather than make changes to the city ordinance, change the application
Process.
and some of the wording on the application. So I think he made one additional request of staff to make some wording changes, and it looks like we're going to be good to go.
Finally.
So thank you, Mayor Figg.
Very simple and very effective. Let's see, our next report was the Community Benefit Fund from the Oxnard Harbor District.
Right. I think there were some last minute decisions, or not, some final decisions, not last minute, but some final decisions that had to be made regarding the Sister City program, the disaster preparedness proposal, and I think there was another item added in there regarding traffic control. I think bottom line, since we're talking about budget here, everybody got something. Not everybody didn't get everything they requested, but everybody got something, and I think that was a very fair way to handle it. And so the Disaster Preparedness Fund is looking at about $17,000 for some community outreach. Sister City program will get $5,500, and the rest of the remaining
50,000.
will $50,089.
800.
800. Does that go to the traffic control project? Okay.
Yes, it
So
does.
that was agreed upon, and I think everybody walked away feeling pretty good about that.
It was, because it's the first time in a couple of years that the city has had a pot of money they can decide what they can do with, and it is an ongoing yearly fund that, based on a formula, what the city will receive from the port above and beyond what they get in taxes, and the city can decide how to spend it. And I think the key is a couple citizens came forward and said, we want the money spent on Port Hueneme and Port Hueneme citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, and what the mayor and the council did was spread this out as much as they could. An example is the traffic program. That something that every neighborhood can be looked at and addressed and will benefit the safety. And public safety is one of the top two issues that everybody talks about here, and how we need to spend our money.
Right. Well, I think it was done with a lot of thought in mind, because it corresponded with the strategic plan, the economic recovery plan that Mayor Figg put forth. And the initiatives in that plan were each allocated a certain amount of money to carry through and carry out and implement the recommendations that were in that plan. So I think it was very well thought out. Moving along,
Cannabis.
the cannabis, so you can handle that one. How is,
Okay, the council is moving forward as fast as they can. They've all stated they want to be a leader in the cannabis ordinance in Ventura County. And there's a couple, 2 or 3 issues that need to be finalized and resolved, and they're technical and legal so that everything runs smoothly. Nothing, you know, there's no hiccups once we get
Nice to see
going.
that the city council is moving on this issue. They're not delaying it. In fact, they scheduled a special meeting next Tuesday at, I believe, 1 o'clock at city council chambers to further work out some of the issues related to this, this new,
And that is open to the public.
right, absolutely open to the public. And so they're going to figure out other issues, including whether or not they're going to work through a development agreement or whether they need to make changes to the city code. So,
Yeah, there's a couple ways you can handle that, and some more long-term, others can be done if we do it right in a quick manner of time, and that'll all be discussed at the meeting. It's how you arrange the relationship between the city and the businesses are going to participate.
Right.
So
it's a tough issue because I think the city is actually, you know, setting the pace for other communities, and it's really doing some trailblazing in this particular area. So,
well, in the last couple of weeks, there's been a couple other cities that have said they want to go really slow on it, and you know, they have a lot of questions and stuff, but the city council, when I think this first came up, well, it was like November of last year, they jumped right on it, and they had some very qualified people come to the city council meetings and make presentations and you know, raise their education level on it, and it was all checked out and it made sense, and so we're looking forward for this being a vibrant, some energy and money that will eventually come to the city and be a thriving business.
could be a very good source of revenue for our city.
The last thing was the Steve Hickox, the water department head.
Right, good news.
Yes, Steve came in and he made 2 or 3 presentations over the last, let's say, year, talking about the water, and everybody was upset as, you know, on next door Port Hueneme, people talking about brown water, talking about the water doesn't taste right and it does this and that. Well, finally he got up and said that due to the rains, what had to happen is that the water was captured in numerous lakes upstate a ways, and from, I guess, January, when it really started raining, it took about 3 months for the water to run down through the various sources they have into our containment, whatever they are.
I think he said we were able to, from the rains, get enough surface water to the aquifers.
Right, to the point that the water became much less filled with iron and magnesium oxide and all this stuff. So when that happened, then the water was fed to the water treatment plant in Port Hueneme. It goes through the membranes again, because before it clogged up the membranes within weeks. So they had to shut it down, and that's what made the water, you know, not look good or taste good. So at that point, before January, the water tested at 675 to 850 ppms, parts per million, on the total solvents that's located in the water. So that was nearly not real good at all. I think 1,000 parts per million is when very young people, very old people, or people with immune problems, it'd be better off if they, you know, used purified water and stuff like that. So he said that the water has improved greatly now. It will possibly get a lot better. It'll get even better. And when I went home after the meeting, I have a tester. I got a glass of water, stuck it in there, and from 700 thereabouts, the water registered 315 parts per million.
I was very pleased to hear the news, but then I was wondering if the city was going to reimburse me for the $500 water filter that I purchased 3 months ago.
Well,
but it does allow the minerals to come through, and so maybe the water will just be that much more better tasting. We shall see.
Well, it will help conserve water, and you know, the irrigation, I think, is a big thing. We don't need to put this good water a whole lot on our lawns if we can help it. We need to have a schedule that keeps it nice. It doesn't die, but we don't want to use so much of it on the irrigation. We need it to drink. So
Okay. All
anyway,
right.
this was I thought a really good city council meeting. A lot of issues were covered.
Right.
And they're moving forward, and if you have any questions, you can email the city council and let them know how you feel. And thank you for watching City Council Review for April 17th, and we hope to see you for the next review.
See you next time.